Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our second stop of Freight Waves on the road to Northwest Arkansas and the future of supply chain. My name is Kaylee Nix, and I'm very excited to be at our second stop this morning, the headquarters of Shipt in Birmingham, Alabama, and super excited to get into this interview with Rena Hurst, the Chief Business Officer here at Shipt. Rena, thank you for being with us and for being a stop on our road to the future of supply chain.
Thank you for stopping by to the magic city of Birmingham. We're happy you're here.
I love it. Stop 2 really couldn't be better for Birmingham. I mean, there's so many great people that are headquartered here. And you guys at Shipt, your building kind of takes over the skyline. You've got that logo up on the front. As soon as you're driving in on 59, it immediately says, Shipt, we're here, right?
I kind of love it too.
It's great. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about your company and being in the magic city and being in Birmingham.
Absolutely. Well, so let's start with who is Shipt. We're a same-day delivery provider. We bring the store to your door for over 150 retailers across the U.S. And when we started as just a grocery delivery company, we've grown into so much more. So today we are delivering goods from grocers, from pet stores, from liquor stores, home decor, apparel, beauty, convenience, you name it. Retail is our game, and supply chain is what we do each and every day. My role at Shipt is the Chief Business Officer. So I lead how we bring our partners in the door and then how we grow those partners over time. So that's both our retail partners as well as our CPG brand partners. Mm-hmm. So think the Nestle's, Pepsi's, and Cokes of the world. I have an amazing team, an amazing job, and love living in this great city of Birmingham.
So you guys have really capitalized on the gains that e-commerce has made. E-com is the name of y'all's game when it comes to your partnerships, your business development, and really just building out the Shipt ecosystem as a whole. Can you talk a little bit about how this push and this burst of e-commerce in the last 2 years has driven Shipt's growth as a whole? As you mentioned, you started off as a grocery delivery, and now you're 150 plus partners.
Yeah, great question. You know, we did start as just grocery delivery, but I couldn't say just grocery delivery because grocery delivery is the core of why people choose Shipt. Mm-hmm. And folks choose to come to Shipt because they want to find ease and convenience in their lives. They want to take time back. And it starts with that weekly ritual of groceries. And so what happened during the pandemic is, some people saw grocery delivery as a luxury, right? And then it was kind of became a convenience, and then it became an essential must-have part of so many consumers' lives. And over the pandemic, we really had to be able to scale our business pretty quickly. We went from, next hour only delivery to widening our windows to being able to deliver, up and placing orders up to 7 days in advance.
Wow.
We took our Shipt shoppers, who at the time we had about 100,000 Shipt shoppers shopping for Shipt and for our consumers across the U.S., and scaled that to 300,000 Shipt shoppers. So you can imagine the supply was there, the demand was there. We just needed to keep up as best as we could. And during that time, we implemented a lot of really interesting things that have paid off long-term bets in the future. We introduced at the time a pay-per-order transaction. So consumers before that had to have a Shipt membership to be able to transact with Shipt. And now for, $8, $9, $10 an order, someone could just try out Shipt for the first time. And so we lowered the barrier to entry. We allowed more consumers to try Shipt, and that made Shipt an even more important value proposition into the long term. I talked about how we extended the window. So it used to just be, pick an hour that day. Now you can pick an hour, 10 days, 14 days out in advance. So we're seeing a lot of folks actually start to pre-plan orders. People like to get their groceries delivered every Sunday at noon, or they, like me, like to get their beauty products ordered every Friday at 5. And you can play with them over the weekend. So we're starting to see how planning ahead is playing into people's lives. And again, something that's become such a common part of everybody's life is now part of what we do each and every day. Another line that was born during the pandemic, a new business line for us, is what we call Shipt Driven. Mm-hmm. So this is where consumers can go and say, I want something delivered off of a retailer's website. So not just on Shipt.com, but off of a retailer's website, and plan for orders to be delivered next hour, later that day, tomorrow. And Shipt is essentially the last mile delivery provider for over 50 retailers in this space. And that was a line that had started right before the pandemic, but really has seen explosive growth. More and more retailers and more consumers are expecting same-day delivery as a part of their everyday life.
We'll circle back to that whole last mile component in a little bit, but I want to talk more about that expectation in speed and efficiency. And as you mentioned, people's grocery deliveries, it's a ritual, right? Like I am a staunch Monday morning at 11:30 after I finish work. I leave the studio, I go straight to Publix, right? I've got my list, it's ready to go. And it's kind of that convenience factor now for a lot of folks who at the beginning of the pandemic maybe didn't necessarily buy into the delivery space. They were like, this is something that I would want to do, but I can't afford to do it, or it's not reasonable, or it's not sustainable enough for my taking. Can you talk a little bit about how that mindset kind of pivoted from the consumer viewpoint? What was that really big thing that changed their minds, other than obviously just the fact that, I don't want to go outside, I don't want to catch COVID?
Yeah, great question. Our consumer has stayed pretty consistent in why they choose Shipt and why they stick with Shipt. And that's been really interesting to follow that journey. Our consumers choose Shipt. Let's start with why they choose it. And when they try us, they have this kind of curiosity about, will it save me time? Will it help my life? Or I'm in a situation where I just don't have the time or the luxury to take on this this ritual of grocery shopping this week. And then what they find over time is, we really pride ourselves in the Shipt shopping community that we have hired. We're today at 350,000 Shipt shoppers across the U.S. We have a really stringent process of who we select to shop for Shipt and how we onboard them onto our systems, how we train them and teach them about our great retail partners, and how they are the best at customer service and delivery in this space. And so why consumers come back to use Shipt is because of our Shipt shoppers. Mm-hmm. They bring the magic each and every day with every delivery they do. Just this weekend, my husband placed our Shipt. Like we both have our own Shipt accounts and we both have our own stories. But just this past weekend, my husband placed a Shipt order, and he got one thing we implemented last year. It was a huge success for us. Was something we called our preferred shopper program, mm-hmm. where members and shoppers who like each other, who've had great experiences together, can favorite each other.
It makes total sense, right? You're like, this person did a really great job. They picked out the ripest bananas for me. I want them again.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so my husband placed his Shipt order yesterday, and he got his personal shopper, his favorite shopper. And his favorite shopper looked at his list and said, I've shopped for you many times before. And first of all, I want to tell you the store's really busy today. I'm going to do my best. There's a lot of out of stocks on the shelves. But I noticed you didn't order the milk you always order. Mm. And, my husband had totally forgot, even though I had told him, he had totally forgotten to add that milk to our list. And, our personal shopper, my husband's personal shopper kind of saved that sale for us and helped us from having to put another order in later in the week or drive to the store. So that time, that convenience has become such a core part of what consumers have come to appreciate about Shipt. And how we personalize each and every experience for every consumer really matters. And it starts with the shopper. It comes with features that we put onto our site and the way that we interact with consumers, the way we show our catalog, the way that we think about what you might need next, the way we think about curating the right retailers to put on our site. It's all part of a personalized equation, and it starts with you as a consumer and how we can make your life better and easier each and every day.
So with those partnerships and those retail partnerships, what are some of the big ones that you guys have entered recently? How has that helped to develop the business? And then on that second part, what are the consumers saying about the folks that you guys partner with, whether that's a retailer or a CPG company? What type of feedback are you guys getting about what you offer from a product side?
Great questions. I'll start with just looking at this year, just to paint the picture of how this year has started for us. So we, in 2022, have already signed and launched some really big partnerships. We've got great momentum heading into the year. On a national scale, we signed and launched Walgreens, 7-Eleven, and Sephora. And so you think again about a business that was core business is grocery. You can see how we're starting to add those right mix of retailers, big national brands that consumers know and love and have come to expect same-day delivery on, to our platform. So now someone who was just shopping Publix can say, I actually want that CVS branded or Walgreens branded nasal decongestant because it's
allergy season,
heavy pollen season here in the South right now. Or I need a COVID at home test, and it's more accessible. When you have a multitude of drug retailers on your site, you can then kind of check and see who has it in stock and who doesn't have it in stock. And so, we're really thoughtful about who we add and what they add to our mix. Sephora coming on board was a great example of entering a whole new vertical. Specialty beauty and prestige beauty and premium beauty is such an important segment and growing segment for the U.S. And having just one more option for consumers to have that next hour delivery on was just a great addition to our marketplace. Now, in addition to those big national brands, we've also taken a hyper focus on local. And when I say local, I think about in every town and every market that matters across the U.S. How do we start with that grocer, surround them with the right national big brands, but also have those specialty retailers that are meaningful in your own community? Mm-hmm. And here in Birmingham, we just signed 2 new retailers, which are personal favorites of mine, and have been really fun to see kind of the Birmingham community rally around. Hop City Beer and Golden Age Wine, both alcohol, but both are really great local retailers that consumers here love. And so when you're on Shipt and you're looking to fill out all of your needs across our marketplace, you now can not only just get those core items, but you can order from some of your favorite stores around town. We have a butcher shop called New York Butcher Shop who entered our marketplace years ago. And, you walk into their store and it feels really magical, right? Yeah. There's fresh meat and there's great wine and cheese. And you go on their site on the Shipt Marketplace and it feels like that too. So you're talking about how do we bring brands to life? It's through really curated assortments, thinking about those right seasonal moments, highlighting what matters for Mother's Day, for Memorial Day, for 4th of July, as we head into all these big mini seasons into the summer, and doing that with both retailers and CPG brands that matter most to our consumers.
So that feeds perfectly into my next question, talking about the local brand, strategy that you would implement. For those smaller to mid-sized brands or smaller to mid-sized companies, it can be kind of intimidating to step into the world of e-commerce, right? You're used to a ton of foot traffic in your brick and mortar store. Maybe you're offering, food delivery, or maybe you're offering the option to buy online, pick up in store. But getting that true e-commerce delivery fulfillment platform, it's a big step to take. What type of encouragement or type of onboarding do you guys do with those smaller to mid-sized businesses to make sure that as they enter the Shipt platform, they're not overwhelmed and they're not kind of lost in the shuffle of competing with the bigger brands or the bigger retailers?
That's a great question. And one thing that I get excited about when I think about that is my partner success team. So I have a team whose whole job is to onboard retail partners and spend time learning the business and growing the business hand in hand with our partners. And my partner success team takes a very personalized approach to every partner that they work with. They have passion for the space. They know the partners. They feel like I've heard partners say to me, your team feels more like my family than my family does to me. So, they get in there, they learn the business, they learn the people, because people are part of the business, and they solve the problems. And our solutions today solve a lot of problems. But if there's a problem you need to solve, and Shipt doesn't solve it for you, and it's in the space of e-commerce and supply chain and fulfillment, chances are we're going to help you figure it out, and we'll figure it out together. Our goal is to drive incremental growth for partners and to help them on their e-commerce journey, and we'll do what it takes to make that happen. And there have been many cases where a retailer has come to us and said, hey, I am thinking about, we had someone last week, I am thinking about how I deliver more mid-sized TVs through Shipt. Well, we don't typically deliver a lot of mid-sized TVs, but we're working to figure out how we're going to do that for that retailer. Now, you could be a $100 billion retailer or $100,000 retailer, and we're going to treat you well. We're going to take care of your needs, and we're going to customize how we work with you in order to help you grow.
So when you look towards the future of e-commerce, we obviously know that more people than ever are taking advantage of the e-commerce space, and their demands have changed a lot. It's called the Amazon effect, right? We're used to placing an order in 2 hours, saying, it's on the way, and then 3 hours it's at your doorstep. Can you talk a little bit about where you see the future of e-commerce going and how consumer wants and needs kind of drive that change?
$1 million question.
Where does it go from here?
Yeah, I think the industry is fastly becoming old. There's a lot of things happening in the industry right now. There's a lot of buzz about ultra fast, but there's also something happening on the other side of ultra fast, which is high quality delivery at a expected time. So I'll kind of talk about both because I think both are really important to address. So specifically in grocery, you're seeing a big push into ultra fast. And when I say ultra fast, it's 15-minute delivery. 15 minutes shop and deliver. okay? We've spent a lot of time looking at this space. Here's some of the things we're seeing when we look at the space. We're seeing a lot try and enter the space. We're seeing it get really hot in urban markets, dense urban markets like in New York City. We're seeing a lot of folks fail because it's a very costly space to enter. And when I ask my retail partners, what is the use case you're trying to solve? Like, what's the consumer need and the consumer demand here? And is this sustainable in the long term? A lot of them can't answer that question just yet. They're still figuring it out. And I think there's a lot who are starting to experiment in the space and helping to understand, is this really a long-term need? And does it work outside of New York City and with, like, Doritos? You know, like, how broad does this start to scale? So we're watching that very closely, and we're staying closely aligned with our retail partners. But when we look at who our consumer is today at Shipt, he or she is shopping with us 20 to 30 times a year. It's both, right? Like, sometimes it's my husband, sometimes it's me. It's a family, often a family, but they're shopping with us 20 to 30 times a year. They're building baskets that are over $100 in value. So, and then they come to us because they want convenience, and they stay with us because they love the quality and they love our Shipt shoppers. So you put all of those things together, big baskets, high frequency, trust and service, high quality Shipt shoppers that can save the sale. And you think about ultra fast, and the two are a little bit incompatible. Yeah. Right. So we're listening to our consumer, and we're following them where they're going on their path. And as they start to tell us they want things ultra fast, we're going to listen. But for now, we're going to focus on what our sweet spot is, which is next hour delivery. Right. Now, what we're seeing with both retailers and consumers, which has been an interesting trend, is the other side of the equation. So what happens after 1 hour? What happens end of day? First thing tomorrow, end of tomorrow, a week from now? Our consumer is starting to plan more and more into the future. You get your groceries Monday at 11:30. Yep. You can have a Shipt shopper bring them to you every Monday at 11:30 too. And it can be a pre-planned order, and you're likely going to get your favorite shopper every single time because they know you always place your order at that time. You know, as we look at our data, we're seeing more and more folks start to place orders into the future. And they want it at a certain time. And a great example, Party City is a great retail partner of ours. And you can imagine how many balloon bouquets we've delivered in the past year with all those celebrations as people are getting back into life, or, you know, still having parties on their own. 70% of the orders that are placed for Party City are placed for more than 3 days in advance or more. People are really good planners. They're great planners, and they are putting the orders in on Mondays and Tuesdays, and they want the orders delivered on Saturdays and Sundays because that's when they're having their parties. So that's been an interesting trend for us to dig deeper into, and what it's helped us do is identify new use cases and new ways to show up for our partners. So same day delivery, next day delivery, we're starting to move more and more into this space. As we do that, as we get a little bit slower, our costs come down. We get more efficient. We pass those cost savings on to our retailers. They love that. And then now we're starting to be disruptive to USPS, FedEx, UPS. We're in a whole new space of supply chain that's been really interesting with lots of opportunity to disrupt. We've been helping with brown box deliveries. We've been helping with store-to-store transfers. So we're just starting to see new spaces and new places to start to play, new opportunities and use cases to help retailers with, and it's been pretty game-changing. I love that. It's like as you continue to grow, you find those little veins where you start to just extend like the reach into, right? And you mentioned one of those is last mile delivery for you guys. It's one of those newer veins that you're entering, and I want to kind of round out with a talk about that. Last mile delivery, I think, is one of those places where we're going to see the next huge explosion, whether that's in tech, in general investment, et cetera, et cetera. I think that it's ripe for the pickings for really good, fast innovation. And when you look at the future of last mile, right now there's a lot of companies talking about autonomous vehicles using for last mile, or looking at even like drone delivery, or just finding ways to make it more efficient, faster, more sustainable overall. Where do you guys sit in that ecosystem of looking at the next steps for innovating last mile delivery? And how then does that play into the strategy of making it fast, but making it good? Yeah, it's a great question. It's exactly that. It's about how do you make it fast and how do you make it good? Again, I'd say this same day, next day space, what it's allowing us to do, and it hits on sustainability in a really interesting way, is be more efficient.
Mm-hmm.
We are now bundling orders that belong together. We're creating routes for our drivers to go on that is really efficient and gives them really meaningful work. And they can say, I want to just, shop and deliver, or I want to shop and deliver and do a delivery only, or I want to go on a 4-hour drive around.
Take a journey.
Yeah, around the south of, Alabama.
Yeah.
And I want to deliver packages all over, and I want to go and sweep off of multiple retailers, or go to one retailer and sweep all their packages and go on a 2-hour route. And so, as we have more of those opportunities, we create more density. Density creates more opportunities to bundle and route, and that means more efficient operations, more sustainable long-term operations for us, for retailers, and of course, that means lower cost for the consumer. Mm-hmm. So, if we can do it, and we were told our NPS scores are through the roof, and we're more efficient, more reliable, and more economical than the traditional couriers, I think we're onto something pretty good.
Yeah. So finishing this out with long-term and short-term goals, do you have a short-term goal that you hope to accomplish maybe by the end of this year for Shipt? And then do you have a long-term goal that you would like to see happen with your sector specifically?
Great questions. Short-term, I want to think about the right markets to win in the U.S. And there's about 45 that we think are really interesting. But by the end of this year, I'd like to have seen us go into as many of those markets as possible and really round out that retailer flywheel. Mm-hmm. So we have one of everything, or two of everything, if it makes sense, for every consumer to hold on to. So there's no, when they go on to Shipt, they see all the stores, so we can shop like they do on their behalf each and every week. Long term, I want to see us find our space to win. And I think it will continue to come down to personalization and doubling down on service and trust, helping retailers being the best brand ambassador we can for retailers out in the marketplace, and bringing joys to so many consumers' face when they see someone with a Shipt shirt come to their door and deliver, whether it be groceries or brown boxes, at their door next hour, tomorrow, next day, versus, one of those trucks that comes down the street. So I hope we win, and I'm confident we will, but it will come through the lens of high-quality service, which we will never give up, and a great product at a great price.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much for sitting down with me today. It's been a great stop to have you guys on our road to the future supply chain, because e-commerce plays such a pivotal role in making that supply chain take that next step. If people want to maybe get involved with you guys, check out Shipt, or learn a little bit more, where can they go to do that?
Absolutely. Head over to shipt.com and click on the questions section for any questions you have.
Awesome, Rena. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you guys for traveling along with us on this road trip. It's been a great second stop here in Birmingham. Up next tomorrow morning, we will be live from the road in Memphis, so that's going to be pretty exciting there as well. We've got a couple of stops to make along the way there before we see you guys next week at the Future of Supply Chain in Rogers, Arkansas. If you haven't bought your tickets for that event yet, there's still just a few days to get into that, so make sure that you go ahead and do it. We've got lots of great speakers. Our agenda is up on live.freightwaves.com, and that's where you can find your ticket purchases as well. Thanks for tuning in to The Road to Northwest Arkansas, and we'll see you guys tomorrow.